And here's what makes my blood boil. This happens every single day. Cruise lines are raking in billions, posting record profits, championing their so-called accessible travel programs in glossy brochures and award ceremonies, while passengers like Margaret are being turned away at the gangway like they never mattered at all. This is not an accident. This is not an oversight. This is a systemic failure that these companies know about, have known about for years, and have chosen to do absolutely nothing to fix, because fixing it costs money. They will spend millions on water slides, celebrity chefs, and Instagram-worthy pool decks, but they cannot be bothered to measure a cabin door against the most common mobility scooter on the market. That is not negligence, that is a choice. And until passengers start demanding accountability, until regulators stop looking the other way, and until the travel industry is forced to treat disabled travelers as full human beings rather than an afterthought, Margaret's story will keep repeating itself on piers across the world over and over again. Let me be direct with you right now. The cruise industry is not going out of its way to make sure you know what can get you denied boarding. They are not sending you reminder emails. They are not calling you a week before departure. They are not flagging your reservation when something looks like it could be a problem. That responsibility falls entirely on you, and if you get it wrong, they will take your money, wave goodbye, and sail without you. No refund, no second chance, no apology. This is not me being dramatic. This is exactly what happens to real people every single year, and it is happening to seniors at a rate that should make every traveller furious. So if you are over 60, if you take daily medication, if you have any kind of health history, or if you are travelling with someone who does, you need to stop what you are doing and pay attention to every single word in this video, because what you are about to hear could be the difference between the vacation of your life and the most expensive mistake you have ever made. So here is exactly what we are going to walk through together in this video. First, we are breaking down mobility scooter width limits, because the rules are specific and most travelers never see them until it is too late. Second, we are talking about health declaration emails, what they are, where they hide, and what happens if you miss one. And third, we are revealing 2 hidden senior perks that cruise lines quietly offer but almost never advertise. Most passengers complete entire voyages without ever knowing these perks existed. By the time this video ends, you will have a clear, practical understanding of all 3. No guesswork, no surprises at the pier. Just real information that puts you in control, because you deserve to board your next cruise feeling prepared, confident, and genuinely excited for the adventure ahead. Now, let's get into the first major topic, and this one is critical if you or someone you love uses a mobility scooter. Most cruise lines have a maximum cabin door width of 22 to 23 inches. That might sound like a generous amount of space, but here is the problem. Many standard mobility scooters sold at retail stores and online are wider than that. Some models measure 24, 25, even 26 inches across. That gap of just a few inches is the exact reason our 68-year-old traveller never made it past the pier. Her scooter, which worked perfectly fine at home and in every store she visited, was simply too wide to fit through her assigned cabin door. The cruise line did not make an exception. She did not board. That was the entire trip. Gone. Now that you know the width limits exist, the next critical step is making sure you measure your scooter correctly before you ever book a cabin. And this is where most people make a costly mistake. They measure the seat width and assume that is the full measurement. It is not. You need to measure the widest point of the entire scooter. grab a tape measure and check from the outermost edge on one side to the outermost edge on the other. Then here is what most people completely miss: the handlebars and the armrests. These two components frequently extend beyond the body of the scooter and are the number one reason passengers get stopped at cabin doors. Your handlebars might add 2 to 3 inches on each side. Measure everything, write it down, and keep that number ready before your next call to the cruise line. Now that you know how to measure your scooter correctly, the next question is, which cruise lines actually make it easier for scooter users to get on board comfortably? Lines like Royal Caribbean, Carnival and Norwegian all offer accessible cabins with doorways measuring around 32 inches wide, compared to the standard 22 to 23 inches found in regular cabins. That difference is everything when you are navigating a scooter through a tight space. However, and this is critical, these accessible cabins do not appear automatically in your booking. They must be selected specifically and reserved well in advance, because there are very few of them on each ship. Here is the most important advice in this entire section. Do not book online if you use a mobility scooter. Call the cruise line directly. Speak to someone in their accessibility or special services department who can confirm the exact cabin dimensions and hold the right room for you. So what happens if you measure your scooter and realize it simply will not fit through a standard cabin door? First, do not panic and do not cancel your trip. There is a practical solution that thousands of cruisers use every single year. You can rent a narrower, cruise-compatible scooter through vendors who specialize specifically in this situation. Two of the most trusted names are Special Needs at Sea and Scootaround. Both services are cruise-approved, meaning their equipment is pre-measured to meet onboard dimension requirements. Even better, they deliver the scooter directly to the ship before you board, so it is waiting for you when you arrive. You do not haul anything through the airport or the terminal. These rentals are affordable, reliable, and completely remove the guesswork from the equation. Now let's move into the second major topic we promised you today: health declaration emails. This one catches a surprising number of senior travelers completely off guard, and honestly, it is easy to see why. Most cruise lines now send a health declaration form somewhere between 24 and 72 hours before your departure date. It arrives by email, it looks fairly routine, and for many passengers, it goes straight into the spam folder without ever being seen. Here is where it gets serious. Many senior travelers either miss this email entirely, or when they do find it, assume it is optional. They think skipping it will not matter, but it absolutely does matter, and what happens next at the pier can completely derail your boarding experience before you even step foot on the ship. So what does this health declaration form actually contain? It is more detailed than most people expect. The form typically asks whether you have experienced any illness symptoms in the past 10 to 14 days, including fever, cough, or shortness of breath. It will specifically ask about COVID-19 and other respiratory conditions. Here is the part many seniors overlook entirely. The form also asks whether you are bringing any mobility aids or medical equipment on board, such as oxygen concentrators, CPAP machines, or wheelchairs. This is not optional information. If you submit an incomplete form, or worse, never submit one at all, the cruise line has every right to pull you aside for additional health screening at the pier. That screening takes time, creates stress, and in some cases has caused passengers to miss their boarding window completely. Now that you understand what the health declaration form contains, let's talk about making sure you actually receive it and complete it on time. The single most effective thing you can do is add the cruise line's official email address to your contacts the moment you finish booking. Do not wait until the week of departure. This one simple step prevents the form from landing in your spam folder unnoticed. Speaking of spam, make it a habit to manually check your spam folder starting 3 days before your sailing date. Set a reminder on your phone right now if you need to. And here is something many group travelers overlook entirely. If you are sailing with friends or family, every single passenger must complete their own individual form. One person cannot fill it out on behalf of another. Each traveler is responsible for their own submission, no exceptions. Here is something most travelers get wrong. If you have a pre-existing condition and you need specific accommodations on board, the health declaration email is not where you disclose that. Many seniors assume that mentioning a heart condition or diabetes in the health form will trigger the right support. It will not. That form exists purely for safety screening, not accommodation planning. For actual accommodations, you need to complete a separate medical information or special needs request form, and this must be submitted weeks before your sailing date, not days. Most cruise lines require this form at least 30 to 45 days in advance. Submitting it late often means your request simply cannot be fulfilled. Contact the cruise line's accessibility or special services department directly right after booking to get this process started immediately. Now here is where things get genuinely exciting, because everything we have covered so far has been about avoiding problems. But this next part is about something most senior cruisers never even realize they are leaving behind on the pier. There are 2 perks available to senior passengers on most major cruise lines, and here is the thing. They are real, they are valuable, and they cost you absolutely nothing. But cruise lines do not exactly shout about them from the top deck. You will not find them featured on the booking page. They are not in the welcome brochure. And the vast majority of passengers complete their entire voyage, unpack at home, and never once knew these perks existed and were simply waiting to be claimed. Now here is where things get genuinely exciting. Hidden perk number 1 is priority embarkation, and it is available to guests with mobility needs or age-related assistance requirements. This means you can board the ship before the general crowd, skip the long standard lines, and start your vacation without the physical and emotional strain of waiting in a packed terminal for an hour or more. The catch is that this perk does not come to you automatically. You have to ask for it. Most cruise lines offer priority embarkation through their special services or accessibility department, and it must be requested in advance, either at the time of booking or several weeks before your sailing date. You will almost never see it mentioned on the main booking page, which is exactly why so many passengers never take advantage of it. So what does priority embarkation actually look like once you have requested it? In practice, it means you are directed to a separate, shorter line that bypasses the main crowd entirely. You board earlier than general passengers, often before the terminal reaches peak congestion, and in many cases, a staff member personally escorts you from the terminal building all the way to the ship entrance. This is not a small convenience. For someone managing joint pain, that extra 30 minutes of standing in a packed terminal can mean the difference between starting the cruise feeling okay and starting it already exhausted. For someone with anxiety around large crowds, having a dedicated escort removes an enormous amount of stress before the voyage even begins. This single perk can genuinely transform your entire boarding experience. Now here is the second hidden perk, and this one surprises almost every senior traveler who hears about it for the first time. Many cruise ships carry a small but genuinely useful supply of medical equipment that guests can borrow completely free of charge. We are talking about shower chairs, bed rails, raised toilet seats, and even blood pressure monitors. These items are typically held at the ship's medical center or through guest services, and they exist specifically to support passengers who need a little extra help during the voyage. The catch is simple but important. The cruise line will not announce this to you. No one will knock on your cabin door and offer a shower chair. You have to ask. The supply is limited, and once those items are claimed by other passengers, they are gone for that sailing. Now that you know this perk exists, timing is everything when it comes to claiming it. The moment you board the ship, head to guest services and make your request. Do not wait until day 2 or day 3, because those shower chairs, bed rails and monitors are available in limited quantities. Other passengers who asked first will already have them. Think of it like the early bird getting the worm, except in this case the worm is a bed rail that could prevent a serious fall. Beyond boarding day requests, some cruise lines go one step further. Their accessibility desk allows you to pre-request specific equipment before the voyage even begins. A simple phone call weeks ahead can secure exactly what you need before you ever step foot on the ship. Let's return to the woman we met at the beginning of this video. 68 years old, 2 years of savings, and a dream vacation that ended before it began, all because of 4 inches. Here is the part that matters most. Her situation was entirely preventable, not partially preventable, completely. If she had known about the scooter width rule, she could have measured her equipment before ever booking. If she had called the cruise line directly instead of booking online, an agent would have flagged the issue immediately. If she had contacted a cruise-approved rental vendor and reserved an accessible cabin in advance, she would have walked onto that ship without a single problem. The vacation she saved 2 years for would have happened exactly as she imagined it. That knowledge makes all the difference. So, let's make this simple and actionable. Before your next cruise, run through this checklist. First, measure your scooter at its widest point, including handlebars and armrests. Second, call the cruise line directly to book an accessible cabin. Do not rely on the website alone. Third, contact the Special Services Department and request priority embarkation. Fourth, submit your special needs form weeks before departure, not the night before. Fifth, the moment you complete your booking, add the cruise line's email address to your contacts so that health declaration never lands in spam. And sixth, on day 1 of boarding, walk straight to guest services and ask about equipment loans before supplies run out. 6 steps. That is all that stands between a stressful pier experience and a smooth, confident boarding day. Now, some of you might be thinking, what if asking for accommodations puts a target on my back? What if disclosing my needs makes staff treat me differently or flags my booking somehow? That fear is completely understandable, but here is the truth. It is unfounded. Cruise lines are legally required under the Americans with Disabilities Act and International Maritime Accessibility Standards to provide reasonable accommodations. Beyond the legal obligation, they are operationally motivated to make your experience seamless. A passenger who boards smoothly, enjoys their trip, and returns home happy is a passenger who books again. Asking for help does not mark you as a problem. It marks you as a prepared traveler. Every accommodation request you make gives the crew the information they need to serve you better. Silence never helps. Communication always does. If you're stepping into the world of cruising for the first time, and you're in that wonderful 55-plus chapter of life, you are exactly who this channel was built for. We break down everything, from picking the right ship for your needs to spotting those sneaky fees that catch most first-timers completely off guard. Go ahead and hit subscribe so you never miss a video, because we drop new content regularly and you won't want to fall behind. And here's what I really want from you today. Scroll down to the comments and leave your single biggest question about cruising. It doesn't matter how basic or how specific it is, I read every comment personally, and your question could very well become the inspiration for our next video. This community grows when we learn together, so don't be shy. Until next time, happy travels, and I'll see you right back here soon.